Hi, welcome to the Caregivers Guide. Please note that the video presentation is general in nature. It is based on the experience of the presenter. It should not be taken as medical, legal, or financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for advice from appropriately qualified licensed practitioners of law, medicine, psychology, or financial planning. All the videos are based on the expanded disability scale. This particular video is based on a level 1 of disability, which is minimal, and we're going to cover the change curve today. Just realize that with the change curve, it's staying positive, making sure that even if things aren't okay with the individual that you're taking care of, that you will be okay. And it's to help you plan and effectively manage your situation that you're going through. Like all the videos, they're pretty short in nature. It's a real general overview. So as far as resources are concerned, I encourage you to look at the change curve or Kubler-Ross model on YouTube. Look it up on different websites. You'll probably hear about it if you're talking to different support groups. I know on Facebook you'll be able to find other people that have gone through different changes in their life and they've used this model. Also talk to your friends about it, and obviously talk to any trade groups. So what the change curve that we're going to look at is based on the Kubler-Ross change curve. It's known as the 5 stages of grief model, which consists of various levels of stages of emotions that you experience when you're going through things such as a death. When we look at the change curve, I use this quite a bit also in industry because it's very relevant to changes in transforming organizations, and it can be both good and bad. So a lot of times, if you think about it, if you win the lottery, the first thing that you might go through is this didn't just happen. So it's that denial phase, like this didn't just happen to me. Same thing when you might get a diagnosis or information from a medical professional. Is the first thing is you just need to take a deep breath and not deal with it quite until your brain is ready to take on that information. And it's a productive measure, so it helps you get through what you're dealing with on your daily activities. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to be in denial for a little bit. Because once you start coming out of that denial, there is quite a bit that your brain's going to have to process. So there's fear, there's stress. A lot of times, with that comes rage. So we talked about the 3 forms of catharsis in another video. And the 3 forms of catharsis are laughter, rage, and crying. So you might look at, some people might take it, make a joke out of it. Some people might become very, very upset. Others might just have, break down into tears until they can kind of process that information. And then you go through what feels like a confusion, a state of you're really not sure how you're going to come out of that. And I remember when I first was learning about this model, and they said, what's the hardest part of change? And without being able to articulate it, that was really the thing that in major transformations, it was just really the uncertainty where you think you're doing the right thing, but until that actually takes hold, it is a very confused state. And sometimes that state of confusion can last, a little bit of time, a couple days, or it can last months. So just realize that that's a natural emotion, and you're just going to have to kind of process through that. And then as you come out, there's an avoidance, a little bit of like not sure that that you're right, you're going on the right direction or the right path. And then you start to accept it. You start to have enthusiasm. You start to feel control, and then you want to lead other people through that change model. So some people are able to adapt very fast, and others it might take a little bit longer. One of the things that is really, really important to understand is that when you get a diagnosis for somebody that has some sort of disability or a chronic condition, you might be able to go through that change process or that acceptance, get to the acceptance phase much faster than the other person. And in many ways, you need to. So, you have to realize that they might still be in that denial, that fear stage. And the other issue is that a lot of times, because we don't want to go into that confused state, we end up going backwards. So you might have somebody that's coming out of denial, they're kind of coming through the fear stage, and then they slip right back into the denial, and they don't come out of it. And you just have to realize that sometimes you're not going to get them out of that condition or that emotion. You just have to just kind of leave them there and let them deal with their reality while you take care of them. So what this kind of looks like on the model, and this is what I really hope that you can use on a daily basis, is really looking at yourself to figure out, are you in denial of what's about to happen, or are you in the fear, the rage, the state of, catharsis, where you're trying to get through that, or are you in that confused stage where you're like, you realize that this is happening, you realize where you need to go, and you're trying to sort through it, you're trying to figure out what direction you want to go into, or are you in the acceptance phase where, this is okay, like you understand, like this is, a, a task that you're embarking on, or where you're going, you're excited about it, you're able to move on, you're able to, regain your life, and you feel confident and you're ready to, bring others through, their circumstances, so, and help others. So the other thing that is really important to understand too is that we're all dealing with like multiple changes happening at once. So if you talk to somebody, they might be going through a divorce, they might be having, a situation with children, their parents, their spouses. There's a lot of changes, and there's different levels of changes. And as our society becomes more technologically advanced, these changes happen at a much more rapid pace. So it's really important to know that, really, where other people are, with it, with their processing of changes. A lot of times too, it's like, once you think about it, like if you're going through a divorce, like, a lot of times people are hesitant to actually go forward with that. And you can kind of help them through to say, okay, look at, what, maybe you're getting past the betrayal and you're trying to work things out, or you are helping them with moving on to their, the next phase of their life and finding a new partner. So just, again, that's one more element to just keep in consideration. um, as we wrap up, the last thing I want to really try to really impress upon you is looking at all the things in your life right now as a caregiver and really focusing on what you can control. There's a lot of things out there as far as, different interests, like things that can impact, or influence you, especially with the media and things like that. But really focusing on what it is in your life and your person that you're caring for, their life, what can you control, um, and make the most of that. So as far as the Plan, Do, Check, Act portion of this, really, I just want you to look at the change curve, understand it, and then really look at, actions versus distractions. So it's really easy, to try to, I don't want to say put your head in the sand, but to find other things to make yourself busy versus really focusing on the tasks at hand that you're probably going to have, as far as making sure what you need to do and what you can control. Um, and then do a check every day. Figure out, where are you on that change process? Are you still in denial? Are you in fear? And where on the scale? Are you going backwards or are you going forwards? And it's okay. It's okay to go backwards. It's just understand that that's where you are, and that you're going to get through this. It's good. It's going to be fine. And then give yourself the time that you need to evaluate and figure out when you're ready to move on. So again, shift happens. If you're not changing, you're just choosing. And unfortunately, a lot of times the world isn't going to stop. Nature isn't going to switch courses, because you don't want it to. So just be aware that things do get better. It isn't a life not worth living. Um, it's just how you approach it that matters. Thanks, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.